We've been waiting for it, asking for it, and looking for substitutes, but the time has finally come. The 7th and final season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. After an abrupt cancellation from Disney after their buyout of Star Wars in 2012 in favor of the more kid-friendly show Star Wars Rebels, Disney realized the error of their ways and revived a cult classic Clone Wars back from the brink to finish what it started, making the prequels good. Because, let's be honest, those movies weren't the best. Terrible, albeit memorable dialogue, some aged special effects, messy pacing, the works. But the movies had potential. George Lucas went into this not just to tell the story of Anakin Skywalker, but a strong theme about political corruption and how one profits out of playing two sides of a war. It's a very compelling concept with a solid plan. Which is more than what I can say for the sequel trilogy, that while more sound from a filmmaking standpoint, becomes less enjoyable compared to the prequels because of their lack of a plan. And it's that potential that caused George Lucas back in 2008 to reach out to Dave Filoni. No, that's Robert Rodriguez. Yeah, there we go. Dave Filoni to create a CGI show that bridges the gaps between Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And a result turned into Clone Wars. No, that's the 2003 miniseries. Yeah, there we go. The Clone Wars, which lasted 6 seasons, and while some episodes may be bad, when the show gets good, it's the best Star Wars has to offer. Yes, I think the Clone Wars is at its best, is better than Empire Strikes Back. It's that good. It's complex, it's dark, it's fun, it's compelling, and has deep characters both old and new. The Clone Wars lived up to the potential that the prequel trilogy had. So, needless to say, after being gone for so long, this final season has massive shoes to fill. So, does it succeed?
Yes.
For the most part.
No.
It's complicated. This season is split into 3 arcs across 12 episodes. Each one varies greatly in quality, which, to be fair, is something every Clone Wars season has to deal with. The problem is, this is the final season with only 12 episodes, and each arc is 4 episodes long. With a show of this magnitude and hype behind it, every episode should be a banger. None of it should feel like a waste. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me talk about the general aspects of the season. This show is gorgeous. Every season, the animation quality increases immensely. This trend continues here. The lighting is spectacular. Some shot compositions are so good, you can frame it in an art gallery. The choreography is slick and hands down has the best lightsaber fights since Duel of the Fates. And look at that, Ray Park returned to choreograph that fight. What do you know? The voice acting is just as good as it always was. Well, for the most part. It helps that these actors have continued to play these characters in other media, so they never lost their touch when returning to this part of the canon. All the returning characters are just as solid as ever. Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul, and my favorite Star Wars characters, the clones, are just as you remember them, if not better now that they matured and became all the more complex. Characters question the corruption in the Republic as the war escalates, discover hard truths, and take new moral stances, which is a far cry from the seemingly black and white Republic versus Separatist facade shown to us at the beginning of the show. And trust me, if you're like me and love the clones, this final season is for you. 2 of these 3 arcs are all about them and the role they unknowingly play as pawns in this war. They're such a tragic group of people, created to be pawns to serve Palpatine's rise to power, all while believing they're fighting for the good of the galaxy and loyal to their generals to the core. Filoni and his crew took the most disposable group of characters in Star Wars and turned them into the most compelling the series ever has. Which leads me to the arcs. Arc 1, the Bad Batch arc. It's a perfect return to form for the Clone Wars, and serves as a way to reintroduce people to this world after so long. It's classic Clone Wars at its finest, with a fun new group of clones, no doubt made to sell toys, but in a good way. It's not made to blow your mind, but that's okay. It's supposed to set you up for when it does blow your mind. Too bad the second arc kills all traction. Arc 2, the Twins arc. Oh boy, what a mess. This middle arc is really, really bad. Ahsoka is paired up with these 2 chicks who do shady work in the underbelly of Coruscant. On paper, a really good idea. However, it's ruined because of those twins. These characters are insufferable. Their acting is leagues below the more seasoned cast. They're annoying with how much trouble they cause, and Ahsoka basically has to babysit them for 4 episodes. You heard me right, 4 episodes out of 12. What a waste of a third of the final season. There are dozens of characters who deserve closure, who could use that arc to finish up their journey in this season, but they wasted on wacky hijinks focusing on subject matter covered better in previous arcs. I appreciate that it's basically trying to justify the existence of the most underappreciated Star Wars movie, Solo, but if an arc makes me want this series to end quicker? Sorry, but you're a failure in my book. And last, but certainly not least,
Arc 3, The Siege of Mandalore.
this arc. This freaking arc. This is what Star Wars is about. The pinnacle of Star Wars storytelling. Better than Mandalorian, better than Rogue One, better than Solo, better than anything Disney has ever put out. I dare not spoil what makes this arc brilliant, except it uses everything I already praised about this series and raised it to 11. It spares no expense on your feelings and makes sure it hits your emotions dead on to create a bittersweet, poetic finale that truly completes the prequel trilogy. You need to see this arc. It's intense, heartbreaking, breathtaking, and shocking. It completely makes up for every shortcoming this season had and brings an end to a fantastic show. Clone Wars was something at first people had no faith in. Fans saw it as this kids' cartoon and not worth anyone's time. But as time moved on and the young kids who watched it grow to have a voice, it became something more. It became the driving force for Star Wars going forward. Shows, games, even movies, every single one has referenced something the Clone Wars started all these years ago. It's the link that unites fans of all eras together in a fandom that has divided itself. And it's because Dave Filoni never gave up. He never stopped developing these characters, passing them on from project after project to keep the stream alive, and to fulfill George Lucas's final contribution to the Star Wars universe. This was the last big thing George did at Lucasfilm, and it warms my heart that Disney has finally chosen to complete his vision at long last. What started as a silly idea of a space film in the 70s, to an ambitious tale about a young boy's descent to the dark side, to the steps and tragedies he endured, and the people he touched along the way. It may not be perfect, but the Clone Wars is why I will always love Star Wars. So thank you Dave, thank you George, thank you fans who helped bring this show back for one more round. And of course, the Force will be with you, always.